and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The Community Shield marked the upcoming return of the football season, as last year's Premier League champions Liverpool took on FA Cup holders Arsenal. Klopp and Arteta had a chance to pit their wits against each other and potentially experiment with some new tactics. In the end, the match ended 1-1 in normal time, thanks to goals by Aubameyang and Minamino. The XG ended 0.96 to 2.07, showing that Liverpool were wasteful with their chances. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. A quick reminder of the formations used by both sides, as seen on the OneFootball app. OneFootball will get you match updates, formation updates, as well as player and team stats, and so much more. And the best part is, you can get it absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below. Let's start with what Liverpool looked to do in possession. Liverpool usually looked to play out from the back, aided by the fact that Arsenal didn't press extremely high up the pitch, instead opting for a mid-block. But they engaged Liverpool as they entered the midfield third. Aubameyang would usually drop deeper, and Nketiah for the majority of the match looked to sit deep on Fabinho to prevent him from beginning the play. Saka tended to be the highest of the three, tending to push onto Van Dijk, trying to use his cover shadow to prevent the pass into Robertson as well. This could have been because Arsenal wanted to prevent play down Liverpool's left, as without Trent playing, the left-hand side became Liverpool's much more dangerous side. So by trying to prevent the ball into Robertson, they would try to shift the ball to the right, often through Van Dijk, switching directly to Salah, and he finished with a team-high 20 long balls as a result. However, Liverpool could usually figure out the puzzle to build up on the left. Initially, this was through Robertson dropping deeper to be the option, but this meant that Bellerin could afford to push up higher on Mane when he stayed wide, leading to a 2 versus 2. This was slightly different as the game went on, as it was Milner who began to push into the left-back role during the build-up phase, and this would allow Robertson to push higher and give Mane the freedom to stay wide, creating a 3 versus 2. This would affect the behaviour of both Bellerin and Saka. If they decided to push high, Mane could tuck in central and look to make runs using his pace 1 versus 1 against Holding, creating some dangerous situations. But if they stayed deeper, in a more defensive manner, Robertson would now have time on the ball to make a decision, and he did get the most touches for Liverpool. This dynamic meant that they did get most of their play down their left-hand side. But Liverpool also had a lot of play coming down the centre. At times, especially with Milner deep, Arsenal could contain it. This was because Nketiah dropping deep functioned as the extra midfielder, and he would only push high if a press trigger such as a poor touch occurred. But by staying here, it meant one of the Arsenal midfielders could push onto Wijnaldum, even if Firmino dropped deeper. Instead, they found much more success when they used double pivots, as if the Arsenal pivot was drawn, with the fullbacks high, the Liverpool winger could drop into the space and then look to combine with Firmino whenever possible. This could be exacerbated if Milner was high, helping to increase the central overload, and they could even use the extra man to make runs into the box. Higher up the pitch, they used similar mechanisms, particularly having success down the left-hand side. The triangle of Robertson, Mane, and Milner consistently switching position caused Arsenal headaches. Firstly, it meant that Saka had to drop deep, reducing Arsenal's attacking threat, and even then there was still a man light. Elneny often couldn't move across because Firmino would drop deep in this phase, making that difficult. So Mane could often tuck infield, creating space for Robertson to then receive the ball and look for the cross. As a result, Robertson completed and attempted comfortably the most crosses for Liverpool and managed to create some high-quality chances. And through the centre, inside forwards were the key. The forward would usually pin the wide centre-back before making the movement deeper, drawing his man with him. This could allow him to link up with Firmino, but at the same time, it opened up space for the fullback to try and make the run into the vacated region. But it should be noted, with Liverpool's hyper-attacking fullbacks, particularly on their right-hand side, they were vulnerable to Aubameyang looking to counter behind Williams. This partly explains Klopp's second half move, dropping Fabinho to centre-back and Gomez to right-back. This meant that in the build-up, Gomez instead could be the third centre-back instead of Robertson, and this also freed Robertson to push up much higher, much earlier. Now, let's take a look at what Arsenal's plan with their 40% possession was. And their build-up from goal kicks was one of the more interesting mechanisms. Luiz and Holding would drop into the box whilst Tierney and Bellerin became traditional fullbacks. Elneny and Xhaka would also drop deep to provide options. Liverpool camped outside the box with their front three ready to press as soon as the ball became active. Crucially, because Martinez was composed with the ball at his feet, completing 36 passes, he could function as the third man, so Liverpool had to commit their wingers to create a 3 vs 3 in the press. The double pivots would then create a dilemma for Liverpool. Nketiah often dropped deep in this phase to tie up Fabinho, so if Milner and Wijnaldum went man-to-man, the Arsenal fullbacks would be the easy option to allow them to play out. However, if one of the midfielders went wide, there would be a central option for Martinez, which we also saw time and again. And on the occasions where Fabinho did try to push up as well, Nketiah would be free. And we see this mechanism in full effect on Arsenal's ride for the goal. When playing out, the front three are drawn high and Milner stays on Elneny rather than marking Bellerin. When the ball comes wide, Robertson was caught in two minds in whether to back up the press onto Bellerin or stay deeper on Saka. So when the chip ball arrives to Saka, Liverpool's backline has to shift across to compensate for Robertson, freeing the switch to Aubameyang, who then finishes expertly. And this goal is extremely similar to their goal against City in the FA Cup semi-final last season. So, this build-up shape has clearly been drilled into them. But often, when they got into this position, the switch was crucial to them. The movements of Maitland-Niles and Aubameyang were crucial to this. Whenever Maitland-Niles came in central, it freed Aubameyang to move wide and receive. But if he stayed wide, instead Aubameyang could take up the centre-forward role that he's much more accustomed to. Their build-up mechanism on the left was interesting as well. Tierney moved high as a traditional fullback, and generally, Arsenal were only a back three when out of possession, but as their average position shows, it was often a back four. And on the left, when the ball went wide to Tierney, Maitland-Niles tucked into midfield, which would discourage Wijnaldum from pressing Tierney as he would leave a man free, so Arsenal could often make their way up the left-hand side of the pitch in this manner. Overall, it was a closely contested match, but what did you make of the tactics from both managers? What could have been done differently? Drop it down below. And if you enjoyed the video and have the means to support on Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple and you could get early access to videos like Barca's Messi problem, Kerman at Barcelona, and more. And if you can't afford to support there, that's fine. A like on the video would go a long way. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.